The end of 1923. Season 2 left viewers on the edge of their seats, hungry for answers, and wondering what comes next for the Duttons. The show, with its gripping storylines, complex characters, and historic setting, has become a cornerstone of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone franchise. But as we step into the unknown, one burning question remains. Will there be a 1923 Season 3? And if so, what can we expect from it? With whispers of new challenges, unresolved storylines, and dramatic twists on the horizon, it's time to dive into all the details you need to know about the potential future of this epic saga. The season finale of 1923 Season 2 left audiences on a precipice, with more questions than answers, and fans can't stop speculating about what's to come next. The second season wrapped up several significant plot lines, but it was clear that the show wasn't going to hand us all the answers just yet. Instead, it gave us a cliffhanger that only raised the stakes for the Dutton family and their turbulent future. And though many are still reeling from the intensity of the season's final moments, it's what lies ahead that's on everyone's mind. At the heart of 1923 is the legacy of the Dutton family, and with each season, that legacy seems more and more fragile. We've seen Jacob Dutton, played by the legendary Harrison Ford, battle countless external and internal challenges in his effort to maintain his family's ranch and preserve their way of life. But as the season progresses, we're reminded that even the strongest foundations can begin to crack under the weight of time and change. By the end of Season 2, Jacob finds himself in the most perilous position yet. He's faced multiple assassination attempts, the threat of losing his land to greedy business interests, and the constant tension between maintaining the traditions of the past and accepting the inevitable march of progress. These elements of Jacob's character arc, his strength, resolve, and emotional depth, will no doubt continue to be key aspects of Season 3. But in the final moments of the season, it's not just Jacob's fate that's left uncertain. The very future of the Dutton Ranch hangs in the balance. The opening episodes of Season 2 presented a world where the Duttons were still able to fight back against the forces encroaching on their land. But by the end, those forces have gathered strength, and Jacob is forced to confront the fact that his once invulnerable position is now more vulnerable than ever. Rival landowners, businessmen, and government forces are all closing in, each with their own agendas. And with the backdrop of a rapidly changing America, filled with political unrest, economic turmoil, and shifting social structures, it's clear that the Duttons' way of life can't last forever. This leaves fans wondering, can Jacob Dutton keep his land, his family, and his legacy intact? Or will the tides of history wash away everything he's worked for? One of the biggest questions heading into Season 3 is whether the Duttons can hold onto their ranch, or if the story will take a darker turn, one where the family is forced to relinquish their land to those who would exploit it for profit. But Jacob's struggles are far from the only unresolved issue. As we turn our attention to the younger generation, we find that their future is equally uncertain. Jack Dutton, played by Darren Mann, emerged as a strong character in Season 2, one who showed promise as the next in line to take up the mantle of the Dutton family. However, Jack is still figuring out who he is and what role he's meant to play in the family's ongoing saga. By the end of Season 2, Jack and his love interest, Elizabeth, have been through an emotional roller coaster, with their relationship facing obstacles both from within and outside the family. Will Jack step into a leadership role, or will he rebel against the burden of his family's legacy? Elizabeth's place in the Duttons' future is equally murky. She's been a steadfast companion to Jack, but as tensions rise and her own life becomes more intertwined with the Duttons, will she be able to survive in the harsh world they inhabit? The question of how Elizabeth fits into the broader Dutton legacy is one of the most compelling and open-ended arcs heading into Season 3. Will she accept the trials of being a Dutton, or find herself lost under the weight of family expectations and societal pressures? Season 2 also highlighted the dynamic between Jacob and his wife, Kara, portrayed by Helen Mirren. Their relationship has been a focal point throughout the series, and while their love for each other is clear, Season 2 proved that their bond will be tested in ways they never imagined. In the face of relentless pressure, both from within the family and the outside world, Kara is forced to confront the role she plays in the Dutton legacy. Will she continue to stand by Jacob's side, or will the stress and strain of their circumstances force her to reconsider her place in this unforgiving world? Another critical aspect of the show is the portrayal of the shifting landscape of America in the early 20th century. The show does an excellent job of painting a picture of a nation on the verge of transformation, politically, socially, and economically. With the rise of new industries, labor movements, and the waning power of traditional landowners, the Dutton story is one of survival. Season 3 will undoubtedly continue to explore this broader backdrop, examining how the Dutton struggle is intertwined with the evolution of the country. As new threats loom on the horizon, it's clear that the Duttons' battle isn't just about preserving a piece of land. It's about holding on to a way of life that is quickly fading into history. All of these storylines, Jacob's fight for the ranch, Jack and Elizabeth's uncertain future, the evolution of Jacob and Kara's relationship, and the broader social and political forces at play, will serve as the foundation for 1923 Season 3. And as we look ahead to the next season, we're left with the tantalizing question: will the Duttons be able to hold on to their legacy, or will they be swept away by the unforgiving tides of time? Season 3 promises to deliver even more tension, drama, and heartache, with a greater focus on the family's internal and external struggles. The Duttons may be strong, but the forces they're up against are becoming stronger. The stakes have never been higher, and with the past catching up to the present, 1923 is set to take us on a thrilling ride as we explore just how much the family is willing to sacrifice to survive. As we look forward to 1923 Season 3, there's no shortage of potential plotlines that can take the story in thrilling and unpredictable directions. After the explosive finale of Season 2, the anticipation for what happens next is palpable, and fans are eager to dive deeper into the complex world Taylor Sheridan has created. While we can't say for sure where the story will go, there are several key threads left dangling that are almost certain to shape the narrative in the upcoming season. The most pressing question heading into Season 3 is whether the Duttons will be able to hold on to the ranch or if they'll be forced to relinquish it to outside forces. Throughout the series, Jacob Dutton's commitment to his land and family has been unwavering. However, the end of Season 2 made it clear that his position is far more fragile than it seems. The Dutton Ranch, which has stood for generations, is now surrounded by threats on all sides. Rivals with more money and power are closing in, and it's becoming increasingly clear that Jacob's fight to protect his land will not be easy. In Season 3, we can expect this battle to intensify. With the growing tensions between landowners, corporate interests, and the government, Jacob will have to navigate a maze of shifting alliances and dangerous adversaries. His loyalty to his land and his family will be tested in ways we haven't seen before. We may also see Jacob begin to consider more drastic measures to protect his family's legacy, perhaps making compromises he never would have considered before. The fate of the ranch is likely to remain a central plot point, as the Duttons' ability to keep their land could be the defining factor in the family's future. The love story between Jack and Elizabeth took center stage in Season 2, and by the season's end, their relationship was left in a precarious place. Jack, who has grown significantly over the course of the show, is now faced with even greater challenges. His role in the Dutton family's future is becoming clearer, but his personal life is far from simple. Elizabeth, as much as she loves Jack, has had to face the harsh realities of being a part of the Dutton family. Season 2 saw their bond tested in several ways, and the tension between their dreams of a peaceful life and the brutal realities of ranching has grown. In Season 3, their relationship is likely to face even greater obstacles. With Jack's increasing responsibilities on the ranch and Elizabeth's growing concerns about the Dutton family's dangerous world, we might see them struggle to maintain their connection. The question remains: will their love survive the tumultuous environment they're living in, or will the pressures of the ranch and family expectations drive them apart? Given the weight of the choices they'll both have to make, their journey will no doubt be one of emotional highs and lows. Whether they make it through these challenges or are torn apart will be one of the most heart-wrenching aspects of the new season. Kara Dutton, portrayed by Helen Mirren, has been a steady and powerful presence in the series, but her relationship with Jacob has been tested in ways that were impossible to foresee. In Season 2, we saw the cracks begin to show as Jacob struggled with the demands of protecting the ranch and facing his own mortality. Kara, always a fierce protector of the family, is dealing with her own emotional turmoil and questioning what sacrifices she's willing to make. Her dedication to the Dutton legacy has never been in question, but as she grows older and the stakes get higher, the toll it takes on her is undeniable. The dynamic between Jacob and Kara is one of the most intriguing aspects of the show, and in Season 3, we could see this relationship push to its breaking point. With external threats becoming more pronounced, will Kara's bond with Jacob remain unshakable, or will she begin to question her place in a world that seems increasingly hostile? The psychological and emotional drama between these two characters is ripe for exploration. The deep love they share could be tested by betrayal, loss, or the overwhelming pressure of the world around them. In any case, it seems clear that their relationship will be an emotional anchor in the next season, and fans will be eager to see how they navigate these rough waters. The younger generation, who will carry the Dutton legacy? While much of the focus has been on Jacob and Kara, the younger Duttons are equally important to the overall narrative. Jack Dutton is emerging as a possible heir to the family legacy, but the question remains, is he ready for the responsibility? Jack has always been somewhat sheltered by his elders, but Season 3 may see him forced to make tough decisions that will challenge his understanding of what it means to lead the Dutton family. As he becomes more involved in the management of the ranch and the battles that come with it, Jack's maturity will be tested. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's role in the family's future also remains uncertain. She has shown tremendous resilience, but her relationship with Jack and her place in the broader Dutton legacy will be critical as the story progresses. Will Elizabeth step into a more active role in the ranch's operations, or will she decide that the cost of being a Dutton is too great? Her decision could significantly impact Jack's path and the future of the Dutton family as a whole. Beyond Jack and Elizabeth, there are also the younger Duttons to consider. These characters may start to take on more prominent roles as Season 3 unfolds, particularly as the older generation's power begins to wane. What challenges will these younger characters face, and how will they shape the future of the family? As the next generation steps up, their actions could drastically change the course of the Dutton legacy. The evolving world, political and social struggles. Another major element that will continue to play a role in Season 3 is the changing world around the Duttons. The early 20th century was a time of immense social, political, and economic upheaval, and 1923 has masterfully weaved these broader themes into the personal struggles of the Dutton family. From labor disputes to the rise of new industries, Season 3 will likely delve deeper into how the Duttons navigate these societal shifts. The power structures that have long favored families like the Duttons are starting to crumble, and this will only intensify in the coming seasons. The show has already shown us glimpses of this larger world, and in Season 3, it's likely that we'll see even more of the political intrigue that defined much of American history during this time. The Duttons are a symbol of the old guard, but as society moves toward a more modern era, their traditional way of life is becoming increasingly threatened. The economic forces that drive the American frontier are changing, and with them, the power dynamics in the West. Will the Duttons be able to adapt, or will they be left behind as history passes them by? With the conclusion of the 1923 Season 2 leaving fans eager for more, one of the most exciting aspects of Season 3 will be the evolution of its characters, as well as the question of who will return to continue the Dutton family saga. Taylor Sheridan's writing has always been deeply rooted in its characters, and the powerful performances from the cast have made these individuals unforgettable. As we look ahead to Season 3, it's worth considering which characters are poised for significant growth, which relationships are set to evolve, and whether we'll be saying goodbye to anyone. Harrison Ford's portrayal of Jacob Dutton has been one of the standout elements of 1923. His character is a rock, the embodiment of the Dutton family's unyielding resolve. Season 2 saw Jacob push to his limits as threats from all sides forced him into some difficult decisions. With the ranch on the line, Jacob will no doubt face even more challenges in Season 3. Ford's performance continues to elevate the tension in each scene, and it's clear that Jacob is only just beginning to feel the weight of the changes surrounding him. In Season 3, we can expect Jacob to be more determined than ever to secure the future of the Dutton family. As the stakes rise, Jacob's personal that's shifting rapidly around him. This could lead to a more complex Jacob Dutton, one who must evolve or face losing everything. Expect more depth to this character, as Ford will likely bring even greater emotional weight to Jacob's arc. Helen Mirren's Kara Dutton has been the emotional core of the series. Strong, loving, and fiercely protective, Kara's role in Season 2 was pivotal. especially as she helped Jacob navigate the perilous landscape they were living in. However, her connection to the ranch and her place in the family are becoming increasingly complicated. Kara has long been the voice of reason and compassion in the Dutton household, but as Jacob's struggles intensify, she might find herself at a crossroads in Season 3. One of the central questions regarding Kara is how much longer she will remain steadfast by Jacob's side. With the escalating dangers around the Dutton family, Kara may begin to question whether it's worth continuing the fight to preserve a way of life that's no longer sustainable. This inner conflict could add an emotional layer to her character in the upcoming season, and we might see her struggle with her loyalty to Jacob and her own personal sense of security. She's not just a supportive wife, she's a woman of strength in her own right, and Season 3 may see her step into a more active role in fighting for the ranch's future, perhaps even taking on a leadership role of her own. Darren Mann's portrayal of Jack Dutton has seen the character evolve from a youthful and somewhat naive figure into someone who is beginning to grasp the weight of the family legacy. In Season 2, Jack's commitment to the Dutton name became more evident, especially in his relationship with Elizabeth. However, as the Dutton family faces greater external threats, Jack is likely to find himself torn between his love for Elizabeth and his growing responsibility to the ranch. His character arc is one that will surely be a focal point in Season 3, as we see him begin to take on more of the responsibilities that Jacob and Kara have carried for so long. But Jack's path won't be an easy one. As the family's protector, he will face decisions that will test his character. Will he be able to rise to the occasion, or will he crumble under the immense pressure? His evolving relationship with Elizabeth will also continue to play a significant role in his personal growth. If their love is to survive the harsh world of the Duttons, both Jack and Elizabeth will have to make sacrifices, and these decisions could change the course of Jack's journey in Season 3. Michelle Randolph's portrayal of Elizabeth, Jack Dutton's love interest, has been essential to the show's emotional heart. While Elizabeth's life seemed set in a traditional mold, marrying Jack and settling into a life on the ranch, Season 2 showed us that the reality of living on a ranch surrounded by danger, politics, and constant uncertainty isn't as idyllic as she once imagined. Elizabeth's strength will be put to the test as she faces the brutal nature of her environment, not only as a Dutton in-laws, but also as a woman in a family where the men's legacies often overshadow the women's. In Season 3, Elizabeth's role in the Dutton family could expand. As Jack grows into his role within the family, Elizabeth may take on more responsibility, whether that's managing parts of the ranch or becoming a more influential figure in the family's inner circle. At the same time, her relationship with Jack will be central to her personal storyline. Will she remain loyal to Jack and the family, or will the constant pressures of living on the edge of danger push her to reevaluate her future? As we dive deeper into the saga of the Duttons, it's possible that Season 3 will introduce new characters that will impact the family in unforeseen ways. The Duttons' world is one full of shifting alliances, rivalries, and complex power dynamics, and there's a wide range of characters that could be added to the mix. One possibility is that the series might introduce new antagonists who threaten the Duttons' livelihood or even the very future of their ranch. These characters could come in the form of ruthless businessmen, corrupt politicians, or other powerful figures who see the Duttons' land as a valuable commodity to exploit. On the flip side, we may see new allies step into the picture. With the increasing pressure on the Dutton family, it's possible that a few key figures may come to Jacob's aid, offering resources, support, or even assistance in navigating the political and economic challenges that lie ahead. However, as is often the case in 1923, not all alliances are as they seem. New characters may have their own agendas, and the Duttons' ability to distinguish friend from foe will be tested. Given the high stakes of the Duttons' world, no one is truly safe, and that includes our beloved characters. While we're expecting to see familiar faces in Season 3, there's always the possibility that some characters will meet tragic ends. Harrison Ford's Jacob Dutton, for example, is an older man, and the brutal environment of the ranch could take a toll on him. Although Jacob is a fighter, it's possible that the constant pressures he faces may push him beyond his limits, leading to a potential sacrifice that could shift the family dynamic entirely. Likewise, some of the younger characters, like Jack or Elizabeth, could face danger in unexpected ways. Whether it's through external threats or internal struggles, the uncertainty of their future looms large. Could Jack's journey toward leadership be cut short? Or will Elizabeth's dream of a peaceful life be shattered by the violence of the world she now inhabits? One of the defining elements of 1923 has always been its commitment to portraying the Dutton family within the broader historical and social shifts of early 20th century America. While the personal dramas of the Duttons, their struggles, their love stories, and their conflicts are at the forefront, the series has also highlighted the complex political, economic, and cultural changes that were reshaping the country. In Season 3, these themes will continue to be central to the narrative, reflecting the way the Duttons' personal fates are inexorably tied to the larger forces of history. The period of the early 1900s was one of massive industrial and technological change in the United States. The country was evolving from an agrarian-based society to one increasingly shaped by factories, mass production, and urbanization. For the Duttons, this transformation is not just an abstract idea. It's a threat to their way of life. The ranching lifestyle that has defined the Duttons for generations is at odds with the growing industrial powers that are changing the American West. In Season 3, we will likely see the Industrial Revolution play a more significant role. As railroad expansion continues, land that was once fertile and wild is increasingly being transformed into spaces for mining, oil, and other industrial projects. The vast open spaces that the Duttons once controlled are becoming increasingly valuable to outside investors and corporations, and the Duttons may find themselves in conflict with new industries that seek to exploit the land for profit. These new players may be ruthless, operating with an efficiency and cold calculation that the Duttons, with their deeply ingrained values, are ill-equipped to deal with. The tension between traditional ranching and industrial development could be one of the key plot lines in Season 3. The Duttons are representatives of the old guard, the last holdouts of a frontier spirit that is disappearing. But as the world changes around them, they will have to decide whether to adapt or perish. The struggle to protect their land against the encroachment of the modern world will be a defining feature of the season. The fate of the Dutton Ranch is at stake, not just because of its intrinsic value, but because it symbolizes the heart of a way of life that is vanishing. Another crucial historical context that will undoubtedly impact 1923 in Season 3 is the rise of labor unions and workers' rights movements. In the early 1900s, workers in factories, railroads, and mines began organizing for better wages, working conditions, and safety standards. These strikes, often met with violent resistance, were a key part of the social fabric of the time, and their repercussions were felt across every sector of American life, including agriculture and land ownership. While 1923 has so far focused more on the Dutton struggles with land and power, Season 3 could bring the issue of labor strikes into sharper focus. As the Dutton family continues to operate their ranch, the need for labor, from cowhands to ranch workers, will be crucial. However, the rise of labor movements could present a challenge to Jacob and Jack. The land the Duttons rely on may soon be the focus of unrest as the workers they employ push for better treatment and conditions. The question of how the Duttons will navigate these rising tensions is an intriguing one. While Jacob has always maintained a fierce loyalty to his workers, will he be forced to contend with the growing power of labor movements in the region? As strikes and unionization efforts become more prevalent, the Duttons could find themselves on the wrong side of history if they refuse to adapt. On the other hand, if the Duttons ally themselves with the workers, it could create significant tensions with their traditional allies, including wealthy landowners, businessmen, and politicians. Incorporating these labor movements into the storyline will not only add social and political layers to the narrative, but also deepen the stakes for the Duttons. The conflicts that arise from this period of labor unrest will challenge the family to navigate a rapidly changing social order, one where their power, influence, and way of life are being questioned by the very people who work on their land. Prohibition, which lasted from 1920 to 1933, was another major shift in American life during the period 1923 is set in. The nationwide ban on alcohol created a black market economy that allowed organized crime and corruption to flourish, and it radically altered American society, particularly in the West. In 1923, we may see the Duttons caught in the middle of the Prohibition movement's fallout. With their proximity to both the ranching world and the larger political and social landscape, they are likely to become entangled in the struggle over alcohol production and distribution. As the Duttons face the changing world around them, they may find themselves dealing with the rise of bootlegging, as well as the violent criminal elements that came with it. The economic implications of prohibition could threaten their livelihood in ways they hadn't anticipated, as the ranch may become a target for both law enforcement and criminal enterprises looking to take advantage of the chaos. This could present new moral dilemmas for the family, especially for Jacob and Kara, who have long stood by their principles. At the same time, the role of women in 1923 is likely to evolve further as the series progresses. Kara Dutton, a central character, has already shown herself to be a strong, influential figure within the Dutton family. However, as societal expectations of women change, so too will Kara's role. In Season 3, we may see her push against the traditional gender roles of the time, fighting for more autonomy and agency in a world that often tries to suppress women's voices. The women of 1923 will continue to be central figures, and their struggles with social and cultural expectations will form an important part of the narrative. In particular, Elizabeth Dutton will likely experience a more complex character arc in Season 3. As a new bride, she's initially thrust into a traditional role, but the harsh realities of frontier life may cause her to question her place within the Dutton family. With the social changes of the time, including the rise of women's suffrage and increased activism, Elizabeth could find herself grappling with the choices she must make regarding her future. Will she conform to the expectations set by her family and society, or will she chart her own path and fight for a more independent and meaningful role in her community? Another critical aspect of 1923 that may be explored in more depth in Season 3 is the continuing tension between settlers and Native American tribes. The show has already touched on the displacement of indigenous peoples and the impact of colonization on their cultures and livelihoods. As the Dutton story unfolds, the reality of land rights and the conflict over territory will likely become an even more pressing issue. In particular, the Duttons' actions toward their land and the forces they face in the coming season may bring them into direct conflict with Native American tribes whose ancestral lands have been systematically taken from them. While 1923 has mostly focused on the Duttons' perspective, Season 3 could provide a more nuanced view of the consequences of their expansion. The Duttons may have to confront the ramifications of their actions on the indigenous population, as well as the moral complexities of their own role in a much larger historical narrative.